I just got to meet Sara Blakely. Sara Blakely is a billionaire, and she created a product and a company with $5,000, starting with nothing. And she created this huge empire and this beautiful life for herself. And so in this video, she's a huge mentor to me in life, but also as an entrepreneur. And so I want to share how I got to meet her. A regular person got to meet a billionaire, an amazing person like this, for not very much money at all. I'm going to spill the secrets so you can do this and meet people that you admire or that you're interested in learning from. I'm going to share some of the lessons that she shared from an interview that she gave, and I'm going to share those things. I'm also going to share some advice that she's given me that has helped me to build my wealth, have hundreds of thousands of dollars, and multiple millions in my future. I hope this video helps. It's important to go find people you want to be like and learn from them. I'm going to share everything I can. And if you want more videos on mastering your money, your mindset, your habits, and your emotions along the way, feel free to click subscribe. Okay, so how the heck did I get to meet Sara Blakely? Well, before I get into this, I want to share why Sara Blakely is someone who I really look up to, and why I even wanted to meet Sara Blakely, and how this came about. And so Sara Blakely is the billionaire founder of Spanx. She actually just started a new company, Sneaks, and has invented a comfortable high heel. It took her years and years to do this, but she really wants to support women. What I've learned from Sara is she has a strong why and a mission to make life better for women and to support women and help them to reach their full potential. And so she saw her mother's lack of options. There's nothing wrong with being a mother and taking care and growing and raising the next generation. That is such an important job. Such an important job. But her mom ended up getting divorced, and then, she didn't have the financial means to take care of herself because of that situation, etc. And so Sara vowed to herself that she wanted to be financially independent and to have that. And she also wanted to create something one day to help women and to help a bunch of people around the world. And she wanted this because she had gone to college. She was going to become a lawyer. Her father was a lawyer, a trial attorney, and she wanted to do that too. But she failed the LSAT 2 times, and she didn't know what to do. And instead of taking it again, she went to Disney World. She's from Florida, and she ended up trying out to be goofy, but she was too short, and so became a chipmunk. And then she sold fax machines. She got into the sales jobs of selling these big fax machines door to door for 7 years. 7 years, and sales can be very hard. She got door slammed in her face. There was lots of tears, lots of crying. And even though she ended up realizing she liked sales, she was just like, this is not my life. This is not my movie. I don't want this. And I resonated with Sara because I had a moment where I was a high performing young person and did really well and had an amazing childhood and life and thrived and was successful. But finding myself in adulthood and figuring out how to create that life in adulthood. And when I had my son, wanting to create more for him. And I was going on a walk and walking on the stroller, just looking around the town, in a very, very small town, and just, wait, this is where we're going to raise him. This is what we're going to do. This is not my life. This is not my movie. I love a lot of parts of it, but I want to do more, and I want to help more. I want to be more. And so Sara inspired me by saying that she made a change. She made a choice, and she wrote down, hey, what am I good at? What do I like? And so she wrote down, sales was one of the only things she wrote down that she was good at. But why did she like sales? Always ask the why. She said she liked sales because she liked helping people and making them feel good. And so she got super specific. She talks about talking to the universe or God. She talks a lot about that she wanted to invent a product that would help millions of people, that she wouldn't have to go door to door to do, etc. There are a few more details, but that's kind of the gist. And eventually 2 years later, she got the idea to cut the feet off of those pantyhose so you can have a smooth surface, under those white pants, so you can have a solution. And she fought and she persisted and she made the idea. She started with $5,000 and she kept it quiet because she knew that if people started doubting her, she would probably doubt it. And so she kept going. And she built a $1 billion company and has impacted so many people and has been able to live a life that she had always dreamed of. And so it's just a testament that you can achieve anything you want and you can build whatever you want. There's a ton of lessons and I'll share some of those. But I just want to share too, Sara, yes, her dad was a lawyer and she had a supportive family, but she went through a lot of trials and struggles. And when she was a young teenager, her parents got divorced, which that can be really challenging, especially when you're a little bit older. She had her best friend get run over by a car right in front of her around this time and a few other things. And so she started listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer, which he is a psychologist, and he had these cassette tapes, and her dad actually gave them to her and said, I wish I had these years ago, but here, you can have these now and hopefully it will help you. And she was so desperate. She was so feeling so much pain. And that's a key. You need to feel enough pain to want to change or have this big why or this struggle. She listened to it instead of like music and Bon Jovi and all the music of the time. She started listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer teaching her how to think. And she credits Dr. Wayne Dyer and other people teaching her about mindset and her mindset to be able to achieve what she did. And so that's very important. But she's super inspiring. And I was like, I have to meet her. I've been following her and her husband, Jesse. He's a whole nother story. Lived with David Goggins before Goggins became Goggins and well known. And he started multiple companies. He was a rapper. He had a coconut water with Zico. He had a private jet company, Marquis Jet, and like so many things. I just love them. And I love them as entrepreneurs, but also as people. And so I was following Sara on Instagram, and all of a sudden I saw she was going to be at an event voicing change in Washington, D.C. And I live about an hour outside of Washington, D.C. And I quickly checked, and it was going to be for a podcast. I love podcasts and learning, and you could go to the live taping and interview. And so I looked, and the price, $30 or $40 was like the most, something like that. And I told my husband, Jace, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go to this. I really want to go to this. And so I did. And so this was incredible. If there's opportunities around, take advantage of it, right? And some people who went there, like they had companies and they brought their product and took a picture with them. And so it was like kind of advertising, or they gave something to Sara. But Jesse, her husband, talks about creating your own luck. And so he would go somewhere when he had a private jet company, where he thought a lot of wealthy people who needed a private jet would be. And so he created that luck and that opportunity. And he also took the muffins from the place. He noticed they were taking muffins. And so they would get a latte and a muffin. And so he hoarded the muffins and was like, hey, do you want a muffin? And it would invite people to sit over. And so that was a small example of creating your own luck and just creating your own life. I was watching Sara Blakely's Instagram and I just decided, let me go there, let me go be around her. And so if I wasn't following her, I probably wouldn't have gotten that opportunity to go. And so be on the lookout for things you're interested in. Start connecting online socially with people on social media. Use social media to learn and to grow. That's how I started using my social media feed instead of in the past just following people from your high school or things of that nature. There's nothing wrong with that. I have great friends and people that I really care about, and that have been in my life, or I've been in theirs, and it's so beautiful. I almost wish I could have like a feed just for like friends that you meet along the way, and then like a learning feed where it's the mentors that you want to learn from. But anyways, I was connected with them. And so connect with those people. You never know what events will be there. A lot of them do free events, or even Dan Martell, if you're willing to go to Canada, he has a hike where you can meet him. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to change your life. Like I think I'm going to go meet Sara Blakely and she's just going to change my life today and she's going to help me. I think where I used to be, maybe like 4 years ago, was like desperate for someone, just help me, give me all the answers. Like they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that for you. They could give you tools. You can listen to them. They can teach you, especially if they're teaching online, but they're not just going to change your whole life around or give you a job or things like that. It could happen. Jesse actually did. So I'll be careful what I'm saying, but Jesse did that with one of his limo drivers. He knew that he loved smoothies and running. And so like his limo driver was like, hey, before your speech, we have an hour. Do you want to go on this trail? And I have a smoothie place we could go to? He's like, sure. And so again, creating your own look and providing value, caring about your customer, caring about people. And then Jesse hired him for something else. So you can do that, but just know you just want to be surrounded by those people. Opportunities can pop up, but also their thinking can get into your head, which that is the most important part. You start seeing what is possible. You start seeing that there's more out there. You also start seeing that they're just people, and they tell you, I'm just a person who decided to take certain actions, who decided to believe in myself, who decided to find a problem and go all in it, to decide to take actions and kind of figure it out along the way, and to be bold and to have a mission, to have a why. And you just start to feel closer to it and be like, oh my gosh, I can do this too. It doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. Even my YouTube channel, I've been doing this almost 2 years, and I'm hopefully impacting someone. There's at least one view on most videos, so hopefully other people are getting value, but it's not where I want to be yet. And that's okay. At least I'm on the journey. At least I'm going, right? And it made me believe that I could, instead of just hiding in my room or doing all this learning on my own or figuring things out for myself. Why not share it? And maybe it can help somebody else along the way. I have learned so many lessons from Sara, and I highly recommend you follow her or check out some of her content, or she has a masterclass that is amazing. But one of the first things I learned is not being afraid to try or to fail. And so I've never really been afraid to try. There's certain things that I have been. I know I started this channel with bangs and I got rid of them. I was a little bit nervous, but I did it because I had had them for almost 30 years and it's part of your appearance. But I was never really afraid to try. And I think that is a key thing. And it holds a lot of people back. Being scared to look stupid, being scared to mess up, being scared and not wanting to face that feeling. And her father encouraged her brother and her to fail and would ask at the dinner table, what did you fail at this week? And so that was huge for them because they saw that it wasn't about whether you got the outcome. It was about not trying. And so it wasn't like, oh, you didn't get an A, or, oh, you didn't make the team. You're horrible. How dare you not make the team? How dare you not get an A? It was just, wait, you didn't even try? Like that was looked down upon, was not trying. And so for yourself, what are you scared of? Even YouTube, like certain videos, I'm putting myself out there and looking back on some of them, and I'm probably going to look back on one of these and be like, oh my gosh, but I'm not afraid to put myself out there. And that is part of it. In order to succeed, in order to win at anything in life, you have to be willing to try. Even Michael Jordan, so many of the greats say this. Michael Jordan has a quote that says, I've missed blank shots in my life. I have been trusted to take the game-winning shot and I've missed this many times. I failed over and over and over again in my life, but that's why I succeed. So don't be afraid of failure. Be afraid of not trying. Sara also talks a lot about her intuition. She really likes the feminine style. There's feminine and masculine properties or energies in all of us that we can tap into, but she really wanted to elevate more of the feminine so that there's a balance. It's not about the feminine being at the top or the masculine. It's about having us both rise because both of the energies are equally important. But really listening to our intuition, and that's a big feminine principle, is what do we feel in our gut? What do we feel in our spirit, our soul? She talks about the universe as well and how she would consult the universe or God. I know Wayne Dyer, she usually says universe, but Wayne Dyer, one of her mindset coaches, talks about God. So I think she just says that in that term. But asking the universe or God, what with questions, what should I do? Give me a sign, and praying about it or thinking about it can really be helpful. So go with your gut and don't be afraid to consult the higher power. Sara and her husband, Jesse, talk about caring the most. She says that she cared the most. She would go into these manufacturing plants and they were like, they've never even tried the clothing on. And she's like, do you know it's super uncomfortable, or do you know this? And she's like, well, we don't feel good. That's why I'm trying to make a product that feels good. That also solves the problem. And so she cared about the customer because she was the customer, and she cared about women as well. But that can really help you in your life or in your business if you care, right? Like as a teacher, when you're a student, you can tell when a teacher really cares about you. You can tell when your parent cares about you. You can tell when another person cares about you or is genuinely interested. I'm going to do a book on how to win friends and influence people. I'd been highly recommended that book. I'd never read it, but then I started reading it, and I'd always been fairly good at making relationships or connections with people. And I had followed unintentionally a lot of those principles, I think partially from my parents and what they taught me, but it's incredible. Just caring caring. I care about you. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be successful. I care. And so when you care, you're going to do what is required. You're going to connect better with the audience, connect better with your consumers. It makes such a huge difference when you care. I also learned about the power of belief. She believed in herself. She believed in her mission. She believed in her why and her product. And so she knew it was a problem. She knew, and for many reasons, but she also had a meeting with a buyer, and she drove or flew all the way out to Dallas, Texas, I believe. And she had a 15-minute meeting, and she was trying to pitch her product, and she could tell she was losing her. And so she's like, can you come to the bathroom with me? And the lady's like, what? She's like, please just trust me. And so she showed Sara, put on the product and showed how her white pants looked with the product. And then she showed without. And the lady was like, the buyer, I get it. I'm going to put it in this many stores. Boom, just like that. But she believed in her product so much, and she was also creative to show how it could be used. Like, hey, this works. I believe in this. Come look. Like, I promise you, you'll get it if you see it, if you feel it, if you experience it. And so she believed. And she also was willing to do the work and willing to put herself out there and willing to try. Again, not being scared to fail, being willing to try and advocate for herself. She was the one who went to figure it out. She advocated. And when she got the results and got to go in the stores, she didn't just let it sit in the stores. She went into the stores and she started selling the product and started telling other salespeople, like, hey, this is how we should sell it. And this is why it's awesome. And this is going to get you more sales in your department. And so she was like, once I got it in, my work just began. And you want to control your outcomes as much as you can. And so instead of just letting the universe or other people be in control of your destiny, you want to be in control of your own destiny. And she even, in the fronts where sometimes they have candies or different things that you can purchase last minute, or impulse buys, she put her Spanx up there. And, that, doing those little things make a huge difference. Train your brain how to think. I talked about the mindset, but it's really important. She said people taught her what to think her whole life, but not how. And the how is really important. I'm starting to tap more into that on this channel. I know we all have so much potential and power and ability, but we have to train our minds to believe that and to think that and to think like a rich person, to think like a person who could succeed, to think how we want to become, because our thoughts literally create our habits, our life, our emotions, all of that. So it all starts from up here. Sara also talks about being your unique self. Don't be afraid to be who you are, right? And so Mr. Wonderful had said that business is war, and other guys had said business is war. And Sara's like, it doesn't have to be war. And she went home one time and cried because of that. But it's no, I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to do this unique. And so that actually can be your point of differentiation, where you stand out more when you do it different, when you don't know how it's supposed to be done. She talks about that as well. If you don't know how it's supposed to be done, you're guaranteed to do it differently. And that's where real innovation can happen. Sara also talks about staying in her own unique lane and her unique genius. And so she knew that was sales and marketing. And so anything that took her away from that, she tried to avoid or outsourced. And so for you, if you have a genius, try to stay in that lane and genius. I know that sometimes I'm still struggling with that in certain areas. I need to be more of the creator and be writing and creating the videos. I really shouldn't be doing some of the video editing, but I still do it. And so just staying in your zone of genius can really be helpful. And that's where your superpower is. So use your superpower. I also learned to find my why. And I've learned this from other successful people, but when you really have a why, a belief, and a mission, it helps give you that energy and that fuel that you need to keep your engine going and to keep going. When things were tough, it didn't just happen overnight for her. She had to persist. She had ups, she had downs. She still had those hard moments like she did at the sales job, but this time she had a mission and something that she cared about so much. And so when you have something that you really care about, that you really feel strongly and passionate about, it helps to make it easier to persist and to keep going. So that's how I met a billionaire. That's why I met a billionaire and why I love Sara Blakely and some lessons that I've learned from her. Please follow your own mentors and please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want more videos on how to master your money, your mindset, your habits, and your emotions along the way. Feel free to check out this video on habits making me a young millionaire. I hope it helps. You got this. Believe in your dreams.